Hello and welcome to the Animation Kimmunication podcast, your source for discussion about animation, film, fandom, and more. So please join your host, I Love Kim Possible a Lot, or KP, and Lauren Kizich, the Abbey Roadie, for today's discussion. If you like what you hear, please remember to support by giving a like, a follow, as well as subscribing to the main I Love Kim Possible a Lot channel on YouTube. Spread the word and keep being a part of a great community. This episode contains some mild adult language.
Hi everyone, welcome to Animation Kimmunication. I am tired. KP. So
you want me to try it this time then?
Sure, you can do it.
Welcome to the Animation Kimmunication podcast.
There you go. Welcome to that episode, that youth troop movie where they go to that place with the possum. And do you know what?
Who's your favorite possum?
Yeah. I want that. I want that, but like Dolly Parton, like fursuit, you know.
Out of context, that's even better.
Yeah. So I was asking before we started the podcast if there's a Dolly Parton fursuit kind of thing at Dollywood. Like there's like a guy in a big like obnoxiously big like fake Dolly Parton mask and is like going around and like looking for Jolene or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, the things I learn about, randomly. So, the only other thing is this is relevant to the news story that we're doing kind of. So, last week I got bit by an alligator. It's technically a caiman, but no one knows what the fuck a caiman is. So it's like
a caiman's like a tiny alligator.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Well, I guess it's like a tiny crocodile.
They're native to Central and South America.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just my luck. Don't ask me how I have contact with caimans, but Lochlan has seen the caiman, so I am not making it up. So it's been a great week. So only with KP, and I posted on Twitter without any context whatsoever to people just because I thought it'd be funny. So, and people are like, how? And I'm like, don't worry about it. It's a thing that happened.
I mean, doesn't everybody get bitten by some exotic animal? I've been bitten by a lemur.
Do you have lemur powers now?
Not yet. It's been, 10 years. I'm still waiting. Maybe
you have them, but they're like subtle powers, like things you wouldn't notice.
I think I was bit years ago by a very moody lorikeet.
Was that a type of dog?
No, a lorikeet is it's a beautiful, colorful, about the size of a pigeon, one of these native birds to Australia. And that's why I'm like, I don't crack all the Australia jokes all you want about saying everything will kill you. I still want to go to Australia because there are so many animals there that I'd love to see, and there's the whole outback. I don't know. I just would love to see it. And also, kookaburras are one of my absolute favorites of the birds.
Yeah.
And I mean, mind you, their pigeons are like, sulfur-crested cockatoos, lorikeets, and kookaburras, and that's just a few. You even get the gala birds, which are those cute macaws. They're kind of like cockatoos, more or less. They have a little pink crest and little pink fluffy cheeks. They're really cute, but apparently really dumb too.
Yeah,
sometimes.
The only place I really want to go to is France because I can just touch Notre Dame and like art and like bread, like my two favorite things. So
I can attest that the Cathedral of Notre Dame looks exactly as it does in Hunchback, in the Disney one at the very least.
You would hope, right?
The stained glass window. I mean, right down to the very detail. It was fantastic. But yeah, I know there's that whole restoration thing going on. Is it still going?
I'm sure it's done by now. Remember. That happened a while ago.
Well, I know, but sometimes the restoration projects take a while, so you never know.
Yeah,
I hadn't heard anything about it.
It's a big tourist attraction, so I imagine there was it was also way before COVID, so I imagine there was kind of like a rush, quote unquote, to like get it good, so the tourists can like come in and give money to the local establishments around it. Anyway, that's not about let's get to the thing. So we have a couple of news stories. If you're new to I guess the podcast, which we're getting a lot of new people from the No Fun episode that just came out. Yeah,
it's so funny that they come in and the entry point is on the no fun stuff, and I'm like, guys, we have all this other fun stuff, and make sure if at least you're here, just stick around. We got more fun stuff.
No one wants your
this
fun
episode
stuff.
is gonna be
People
very
like
fun,
drama. People like
everybody wants
hashtag drama. So, you know, I don't know, just don't harass people. You know, that's it. You can politely ask about things from not me, but anyway. I just don't have any emotional energy for like people who do not know how to communicate correctly anymore. Okay, so we got the alligator, like the animated alligator movie, right?
Yes.
Lauren?
So funny, yeah, because we said relevant headline. Yeah, Arlo the Alligator Boy just came out on Netflix, and it's Netflix animation production, but it was basically produced by Titmouse.
Yeah, that's what
and
I thought.
I think well, I remember there was a lot of animators that were working remotely on it to get it done, and the work on it is absolutely stunning. All of the it's fun. I watched it the day it came out on Netflix, and it's a lot of fun. A very sweet, very simple story, but the visuals and the music and Arlo himself. I love actually the whole crew, but especially just Arlo is just so wholesome and pure, and I want to protect him.
Did we find out the guy who fucked an alligator?
Oh my gosh.
I can't say anything without being a spoiler about who his dad is. So
okay,
he goes to New York to go find his dad. But I can say that there is slated to be more Arlo content because the movie was basically kind of sort of like a preface to the series that they greenlit for it and have been working on, which I think comes out later this year. But
I've heard the movie's not doing so hot, like, so far.
Well, it's because Netflix has not been promoting it. That's why it's almost like become a word of mouth thing, even though it did hit the top number 10. It was in the top 10 movies to watch over the weekend. So it did hit that in the ranks because of how many people were tuning in. But no, definitely spread the good word about Arlo, and it's really, really cute, and the music is phenomenal, but the animation especially is just like chef's kiss. Mwah. Just it's wonderful.
Yeah, I have to wait till I'm in the right mood because, like, you know, the character models are kind of off for me, and it's kind of like Gumball-y, like everything is like talking and stuff. So
you get used to it very quickly. Once you're watching it, you get used to it very quickly.
Okay.
So again, it's almost like if you're getting it in the small bites and you're not used to that art style, then of course it's gonna be a little jarring. But once you're eased into it, you just get engrossed in it, and it's a lot of fun. And it's, you know, it's sweet and wholesome. It's, you know, happy. You know, I think we all need a little bit of happy. And again, the story is, I think how people said it's deceptively simple, but it has a lot of depth to it. So it's all in the nuance. So yeah, it's great. And then the other headline I do have is that coming out on April 30th. So yeah, that's next week for or I guess whenever this episode airs would be the next week. So that would be in a few days. Is The Mitchells versus the Machines comes out on Netflix as well. And that has been long awaited. And I guess it broke headlines officially that because a lot of people had theories about it, it'll be the first animated feature film to be released with a LGBTQ plus protagonist as the lead. So there you go. For anybody who has had their theories or their thoughts and weren't sure if it was confirmed or not, yes.
I thought it was already, like, she had, like, buttons and stuff, so I was just like, I thought, you know, and she's going to art school, and I'm like, you know, so I just assumed she was something.
I figured it was the case too, but you know, but I don't know, nothing was ever said of it, but now it's actually being confirmed. Well,
hopefully it's like they actually mention the movie and not just being like, I guess she's that, but like it's never gonna come up, but like we like the press, so you know.
Yeah, but that at the same time, the reviews for people who got to screen it beforehand have all been saying nothing but good things about it, so
yeah,
that's
it's
really
Kristen,
good.
it's Lord and Miller, so they're the beacon of good animated content generally.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see it next week. Yeah, it's been long awaited by many, and especially if it's a Lord and Miller production, it's going to be good. So, because the last one was Spider-Verse, correct? Of them theatrically released.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So, so I'm excited.
What's up, Danger? All right. Anyway, so this is kind of fun podcast time. So we're interviewing Lochlan. Say hi, Lochlan.
Hi, Lochlan.
Yeah, there you go. So, Lochlan is a real friend that I've met in real person times. Sometimes she helps on the team if she has time, but she's been dealing with a lot of cray stuff. So
Yes, I am notoriously busy all the time, and I love to help out when I can. I love to do art and editing, but I have just been really busy lately being an adult, which sucks. But
I hate being an adult.
Don't grow up, kids.
Yeah, 1 out of 10 would not recommend.
Can I reverse this? Where's Neverland? I can't find it. I can't find a link in Google Maps. Anyway, so yeah, but people don't really know that Lochlan was a witness to the infamous Dashcon convention that happened 10 years ago or something?
No, it was 2014, so 7 years ago.
Okay,
7 years ago.
So I guess Lochlan, I guess my first question, so for people who don't know what a Dashcon is, can you kind of explain it before you go into your history of traumatization?
Yes. So Dashcon was a Tumblr convention held in 2014 in Schaumburg, Illinois. And it was the idea of a 15-year-old girl with big dreams to bring everybody from Tumblr together for a weekend of fandom fun, and it didn't go well. But that is what it was. So Dashcon originated as TumbleCon, so it was supposed to be a Tumblr convention, and as much as I hate to admit it, I kind of instigated the whole thing.
So who did you work alongside to make it happen? So who were your coordinators?
So I started the blog in, 2012. So I started the blog in 2012. I'd only been on Tumblr for a couple of months, and I was really just getting any randos on Tumblr I could find who wanted to start a con with me. I was 15, so I had no convention experience, and the people that I was getting to come with me also had no convention experience. But hey, that's okay. Who needs experience or
question?
learning?
So, can you also explain why it was called Dashcon specifically?
So it was called Dashcon because it was originally called TumbleCon, but then Tumblr was like, well, that's a copyright infringement. So one of the staff members I was working with was like, okay, well, we're going to change it to Dashcon because Dash is short for dashboard, which is what you call the little scrolly thing when you log in with all the pictures on it. It's your dashboard. And it took
the people you follow, all their newest stuff. So it's like the Twitter essentially of your homepage where you see everyone's...
It's your TL basically. Yeah. It's like the TL of Twitter. It's the dashboard. Yeah.
Yes. So Lauren, you're asking who my my co-workers were. And so after a couple of months, I moved to Denver. And this is maybe about 6 or 7 months, but then things started to get really serious because in that time, 2 people named Meg and Roxanne were added to the blog, and they were real adults.
Oh no.
And they were like, this is a good idea. We want to be real adults and do real adult paperwork and make this a real adult business. And Lochlan, you're 16 at the time, so you can't sign any of this real adult paperwork because you're a baby. But you can still be a part of the convention that you started, and we'll have you a ball pit. Because my whole big idea
was... Oh yeah,
was...
explain the ball pit, because you were the one who, like, that was your original idea that your claim to fame.
Right. So, along with starting the Dashcon blog, I also had the idea for a ball pit. Because beforehand, people, like, there had been a bunch of posts being like, we should have a Tumblr convention, we should have a Tumblr school, we should have a Tumblr this, we should have an island. And so, like, I can't claim the original, like, idea for a Tumblr convention. I can only claim, like, starting the blog and getting the whole thing rolling. But I can claim the idea for a ball pit. Because I had seen a Tumblr post about strangers meeting each other for a first time in a giant ball pit. And I was like, this is the best thing I have ever seen in my life. And I want this at my Tumblr convention. So that was the whole thing. It was supposed to be big, huge, like room-sized for adults. And that did not happen. I wish we could like put up a picture.
Yeah, you can link your picture. Maybe we could give it to the editor to put in the YouTube version. But like Lochlan has a real picture of her on the actual infamous ball pit, eating nachos. So,
yeah,
she has the proof. But I'm surprised you don't like, not being like a dick about it, but you don't brag. You don't have a shirt that like the ball pit was my fault or something like that, and you wear it at conventions and like people
well,
like.
I have like I have a Tumblr video. So Dashcon was kind of my fault. Dashcon was my idea. But I don't brag about the ball pit because I feel like I'm trying to move on to like bigger, more adult things. Also, I'm lazy and I don't have time to like actually design one and get one printed. And I don't know what the reaction would be. Like, I don't know if I am in an emotional state. Like, because normally when I'm at a convention, and if I'm, like, not wearing a costume, it means I have been up for several hours. It's probably 2 a.m, and probably everybody I'm seeing is just, like, ridiculously drunk. And I don't know if I'm going to have the emotional capacity at 2 a.m. to explain Dashcon to drunk people. So,
oh, Lord.
That's...
I guess for background too, like the ball pit since Dashcon has become a convention slash pop culture thing where people will like bring like baby ball pits ironically to conventions. There's tons of people that dress up as Deadpool with like a ball pit that they wear like around like a hula skirt or something like that. You know, it's like a thing. Like Animaniacs, the reboot had. I think Yakko, his bed was like a ball pit, so it's like it's gotten the rounds.
I don't know. I'm afraid that like people will just bully me and be mean about it. I mean, I don't think anybody's actually been mean about it to my face because people just don't have the guts. But I still get like weekly death threats. It's like, why? Why would you do this, my guys? I'm a nice person. But yeah, if anybody ever wants to make me a Dashcon ball pit shirt, I 100% will wear it. And if I see people cosplaying the ball pit, or like when I was in line at Anime Expo, I heard people talking about Dashcon, I'll like come up behind them and be like, hey guys, let me tell you about Dashcon. In the same vein of let me tell you about Homestuck.
No, I want someone just to cosplay you, like with the ball pit, and then like having like fake nachos, and they would just like walk around like that.
You need to, they need to wear, like, heavy mascara and then kind of, like, wet it down so it just looks like mascara, just tears going down the cheek. Yeah. Yeah. For accuracy. I'm imagining it now. And I had a tiara, too, because I feel like it was just very, like, you know, 2014 Marina and the Diamonds Tumblr girl. Just crying, tiara on, holding a thing of hot cheese. Like, this is fine.
Okay, continue on. I don't have any more questions right now.
Oh, is that it? What else do you guys want to know?
Well, like, you explain, like, you know, like, so, I guess explain how it kind of escalated from you making the blog and how the adults, like, file the legal paperwork and, you know, all that stuff.
Well, see, here's the thing. All of it looked super normal and legit to me. And I don't know if it was because I was a teenager and I didn't know how money worked. Maybe it was because I didn't have any, like, actual adult role models in my life who were telling me, hey, Lochlan, this is a bad idea. Because everybody who I told about, you know, my parents, and we can't really, like, consider those as good role models, but, you know, my teachers, random people I was working with at the bird shelter that I volunteered at, everybody I talked to, they were like, this is a great idea. You're so great. You're so smart. You're like a young entrepreneur business person. We're so proud of you. And I don't know, because I never got any sense that there was something going wrong. And I was always, you know, the youngest. I was the youngest in my class. I was 16. I was 16 when I graduated high school. So everybody at my school was so much older than me. My coworkers were all much older than me. I was the youngest of them. And I never really felt like I was that young. But looking back now, it's like, oh my God, I was a baby. And I live with my cousins now who are like, I think 14 and 16. So around the same age I was. And I can't imagine them running a Tumblr convention. Like, if somebody came up to me, like one of them came up to me now and said, hey, Nessie, I want to run an Attack on Titan convention, I'd be like, no, that's a really, really bad idea. Nobody told me it was a bad idea.
Well, maybe, like, go into, like, what it usually takes to run a convention, like the paperwork, like getting the hotel.
What
like,
does it take? Well,
yeah, like,
I think that's the thing. It's like, I don't know, and I still don't know. I know the things that we had to do were we had to get a hotel. We had to sign all of these guest contracts. We had to, I think maybe they took out loans to get materials because we had to get a badge printer. We had to get shirts. We had to get gifts for the guests. We had to send out all of this contact info and all these press releases to different news sources, which I think was maybe part of our biggest downfall, because one of my big jobs with Dashcon 2, once the adults, I keep saying the adults, but I mean, that really is what happened. They came in, and then what I was kind of put in charge was all of the marketing and all of the social media. So I think one of my own biggest downfalls was I was the one who alerted all the press to the convention in the first place and got all of those big names like the Daily Dot and whatever to come. Mm-hmm. And then I think the Daily Dot was there. So they were physically there when Dashcon happened. And maybe if I didn't send out so many press releases and offer so many press passes, there would be less press. And I would be getting less death threats. But, you know, at least, like, kudos for me for being good at my social media job. But
you at least you got that. I guess I'll jump in because I know, like, the general structure for conventions. So the general structure of conventions is, depending on the size of the convention, it's usually hosted at a hotel or it's hosted at a convention center. Convention center usually for, like, more than 5,000 people because you can't physically fit 5,000 people running around, and or you probably do not have the space for 5,000 people in a hotel somewhere, because hotels will have, like, business conference rooms that you can use that can sit about, like, maybe, like, 100 to 200 people at a time, depending on, like, the hotel or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, there's that, and then, so if it's a convention center, then you have to obviously rent the convention center. I have no idea how much that costs. I'm ballparking, like 10 to 20 grand, depending on how big of the center it is. Hotels are cheaper. Usually, and the plus with hotels is you kind of already have, like, staff, like, hotel staff being able to clean up after, like, people. So you don't want to host a convention, like, in a church or something, because then you have to worry about cleanup, and you have to worry about, like, even though you would think, like, on paper, like, that seems like a good idea, and the church, we can raise money for, like, a charity for the church or something like that, but there's no one to, like, clean up this, like, mess, and, like, then you have to worry about, like, people with fursuits going to the church, and then, like, how does that look on social media?
Are y'all yiffing in the place of worship? Jesus does not want you to yiff in the pews.
So, like, you know, like, someone could get sick and throw up all over the church, and then you're just like, who's gonna clean up this furry barf? You know, I don't know.
I hate this image.
Who's gonna clean up this Dolly Parton fursuit? Like, anyway, so and also, like, when you use a hotel, then you can, like, depending on how many rooms you book for the hotel for people that are coming, so usually how you track that is you just, like, $10 off if you use this code to book your hotel room, and then the hotel can track how many people are coming in for the convention specifically because they're using a discount code, and then depending on how many rooms you book, then they might give you, like, X amount of free rooms in exchange for that sometimes, and then you can use those to put your VIPs or your guests depending on, who you're getting. And then you have to, like, fly in the guests depending on what they're doing, or they're not local. Usually conventions are not local, like the LA ones, are great, but they're people can just drive down or whatever. But, like, for animation voice actors, for whoever, usually you're flying them out of LA, and then you have to pay for their hotel, and you have to pay for their per diem, which is a food allowance, essentially, and then you have to transport them from the airport to the place, and then you got to pay for the flight, and then you got to deal with agents, so it's like a whole thing. So, but you usually need the VIP people to advertise your convention, because if you're like, oh, this guy from this thing is gonna be here, I like the thing that he was in, I would like him to sign, like, my firstborn child or something, then that gets people excited, versus just like, oh, it's a gathering of people, why am I paying, $60 to get in to, like, for a bunch of sweaty people,
I think it might have been 80.
So you need that, and you need panels, like, and usually they open the panels to, like, everyone, depending on your presence. So, like, that's where YouTubers kind of get in the fuzzy area. Do you want to hear something
weird?
Sure.
So back on topic, kind of. So the whole panel thing, you said it was open to everybody, and the weirdest thing about Dashcon was they held interviews for panelists. So people would submit... Okay. This is the weirdest thing, and this was not my idea. Now, I will take claim for every bad idea that I have, but this bad idea was not mine. I can't remember whose it was. But people would submit their panels, right? But in tiny, tiny, tiny little fine print, it said, this is not you running the panel. This is a panel suggestion. You may not run this panel. We will have interviews for each and every panelist. So then we had to sit through and, like, interview people like it was a job interview. And a lot of the times, people who submitted their panel, like, didn't even end up running the panel. And you had to be like over 18, which is why I think I was only on one panel that weekend, because I wasn't over 18, which I guess is smart, trying to cover their asses, but it was so strange. And you didn't even get a free badge if you were a panelist. Like, normally you get free badges. Like, why would anybody want to be a panelist at a convention if you're not going to get a free pass? Like, I think you would get, like, maybe 50% off if you filled up an entire room, and then maybe you'd get a free badge if you did 2 panels and you filled up an entire room both times.
Oh, but side point. So when I was staffing CTN that one year, CTN
What is CTN?
I will tell you. So CTN is the animation convention in Burbank that is notoriously poorly run. You were on staff, and if you were on staff, you still had to pay for a badge.
Oh.
Which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, oh my god. Anyway, like, even if we, like, regardless, like, you were still getting paid for CTN, so at least there's that, but it just seemed kind of like, you're there anyway. Like, if you have a staff shirt, no one's gonna be like, hey, what's your badge say? Like, it's stupid. Anyway,
well, I think you had to pay for a badge at Dashcon too if you were staff, and I don't know if security did as well.
What?
Unless you, like, worked a certain amount of hours and then you got a free badge. I know I didn't have to pay for my badge because I was an admin, which really just meant, like, I was, I guess, super high level staff. I got a tiara. I don't know. When I say it, it sounds like some culty stuff. It was weird. Somebody commented recently on my YouTube, like, it's kind of creepy that they flew a unaccompanied minor out to Chicago for a week. What was up with that? And, like, I'm thinking about it now, and it's, like, nothing, like, unsavory socially, like, went on, but it still it's still weird to think about. Like, I can't imagine if I was running any kind of event now, flying out an unaccompanied minor who's, like, not related to me, who's essentially just a stranger. And I think I'd met these people maybe once before in real life at another convention. Because we all got together at 221BCon in Atlanta to promote Dashcon. But still, it's odd to think about now, and I don't know why they did that. Like, no idea to this day. Like,
maybe they felt like they had to because you were, like, the one who made the blogs. They were like, I guess we have to bring this child along so she feels like she's included in the event she helped start or whatever.
I mean,
don't know.
that's
That
my
doesn't
thought. Like, maybe
justify
they're
it,
afraid
but,
I was
like,
going to sue them, which, knowing me, I wouldn't have, but my mom might have. But I don't know. But I did do like a lot of work for the con. Like, I was working constantly. And I think the one good thing that came out of Dashcon was I got high school credits for it because I was able to prove that I was working a certain amount of hours a week, like doing an internship or whatever for Dashcon. Which is why they didn't have to pay me because I was, like, legally an unpaid intern. And then I was able to get into college early because I had that on my resume. And this was, like, before everything went down, thank goodness. So, like, if they Googled it, it didn't come up like failed Tumblr convention. It was just, we're excited about a Tumblr convention that's not yet failed. So I am thankful for that. And everything else, though, is just, oof, big oof. Big oof.
Yeah. So I guess also traditionally, if you when you're running a panel, usually apply for the panel, and the staff will either approve or deny it, usually based on your experience if you've done this before, and or the panel content if it seems interesting or whatever. So if you're just a rando who are like, let me tell you about this thing, it would help to get your thing approved if you have, like, social. I want to say social experience, but that's not the right word.
Social media presence?
Yeah, so, well, not even that, but, like, if you have any, like public speaking experience or anything like that, they just don't let someone who's never spoken in front of, like 10 or 20 people, like, do a panel, which is weird. So, and then in exchange for doing a panel, because you're doing programming, you'd usually get a free badge, which is, again, that's relatively commonplace for that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else how conventions work. They'll also do, like, things with the vendor hall. Sometimes, like, if you're doing X amount of things, you might be able to exchange that for a table where you can vend your stuff. The only hard cost, technically, or usually, if the convention is run from a hotel, is the flight, because usually between the hotels reimbursing people depending on how many people are coming versus, like, usually, unless it's like a pony con or if it's a small con, they usually have spaces for the vendors, and or not everyone who pays for a table shows up all the time, which is unfortunate, but, that's why they have people paid in advance, and then, they're like, well, Bobby Joe didn't show up to the table, here's your table. So that's happened before to me, when it's weird because I'm like, here's the email saying that I get a table, and they're just like, oh, well, our tables are booked, and I'm just like, well, that's unfortunate because I have proof that we drove down here for a table, and they're just like, oh, well, I guess I got to work something out. I'm like, that sounds correct. So anyway, now you know all about convention politics, I guess, people listening to this conversation on the internet. But I guess, Lochlan, why don't you go into, like, do you know much about the panel and the programming? Because I remember, like, just from the memes that was, like, a hot mess.
Yeah, so actually, most of our panels weren't super cringe. Which actually doesn't really say a lot, because I feel like when people are looking through, and I don't often defend Dashcon, because I feel like, as a whole, it was absolutely horrible. But the panels from the ones that I saw, went to, and heard from were actually pretty good. And I feel like whatever convention you're gonna go to, you're gonna get some cringe panels. I mean, I've been to My Little Pony conventions. I've seen panels on creating tulpas and why you shouldn't go see a psychiatrist and take psychiatric medications, but instead make an imaginary Fluttershy to solve all your problems. So, and then Dashcon had British men with cheekbones. My Little Pony has tulpa panels. I feel like there's gonna be super cringy panels wherever you go. But like the ones that I went to, there were Homestuck panels, which again, kind of cringe, but I was on one of them and I had fun. There were photography panels, there were LGBT panels, there were like writing panels. So it was neat. And the one thing that I will say about Dashcon is that everybody that I spoke to and interacted with and had really just any kind of experience with, they were like super, super nice. I wasn't harassed at the convention at all. I didn't have to deal with any kind of like weird sexual experiences, which was nice. People were fun to talk to. It was like a genuinely polite group of people. Even after like the whole thing went down Friday night, the next day people were still nice and kind and nobody threatened to kill me, which is better than I can say the reaction was online.
So what happened on Friday then?
So Friday night, I am at a Homestuck panel. And it's one of those, ask panels. So we're all in costume. We're all in character. I'm Vriska Circuit, who is the Scorpio. I almost said pony. She's a Scorpio troll. And I'm sitting up there. We're doing, question answer. And Rox, one of the owners of the convention, comes in. And she pulls me into the wings. And she's like, Lochlan, we don't have any money. They're gonna kick us out of the hotel. They promised we could have until Sunday to pay them, but now they say we have to come up with $17,000 right now. And we all just kind of started freaking out. So we were all funneled into the main ballroom. I think Tumblr prom was supposed to be happening, or maybe a band was supposed to be going on. It has just been so long.
Did they have that in writing that they had till Sunday to pay the hotel? Because it sounds like they did not.
I never saw any of the contractual stuff.
Okay.
And I think maybe part of it was that I just didn't care. I was in such a state of, I'm 16. I just graduated. No, I'm 17. I'm 17. I just graduated high school. I have no real problems. Money? What's that? I'm a teenager. So I don't think that I cared about any kind of contractual stuff. I do know that there was some internal conflict earlier where the admins, the owners had kind of like fractioned off, where Meg and Kane were on one side and they were trying to make themselves the president and the vice president and trying to demote Rox to like secretary. And which is weird because they all should have been equal part co-owners, especially since Meg and Rox were like the original owners. I never had anything to do with the finances again because I was a minor and didn't understand how money worked. To think maybe it was a problem, Dashcon was hiring children with no idea how money worked. Anyways, so they called us to the stage. I got up there with the rest of the admins. And they took the mic, and I was handed a paper bag, and they said that, they told me, they're like, okay, well, Lochlan, you need to pass the bag around. And so I lift the bag up. I'm painted gray. I did seal my makeup very well, so I wasn't running while I was crying. I was painted gray, I had troll horns on, and I was like, I have a paper bag. And then I yelled, if you have money, put it in the bag. And looking back on that now, I feel like it was very just like Bonnie and Clyde, like, put the money in the bag.
I'm a demon.
Stick 'em up.
Yes, it was. Oh, I wish I should like draw that, because it was, picturing it in my brain now, it's a very funny image. Me just painted gray, looking like some kind of weirdo, yelling to people to put money in the bag. But at the moment, it was probably just one of the scariest moments of my life. I felt like all of the hard work that I had been doing for 2 years, and I had been working hard. I may not know what money was, but I still had been promoting nonstop. For that whole week, I had been setting things up. I had been punching bags. I had been meeting with press people, handing out badges, really just acting as an assistant to Rox, doing whatever anybody needed. And just to see it all crumble right before my eyes, I felt like I was living in some kind of nightmare. Like I could not believe it was happening. It was horrific. And then we raised the money. And for a moment, I thought that everything was going to be fine. I did. I was like, we did it. It's magical. We are Tumblr. We are the champions. Thankfully, I was not the one who started the We Are the Champions song or raised that hunger. Although there is an article out there, and my dad had it pulled up for when I got home. But it said somebody was up on stage flashing Homestuck gang signs.
Oh my god.
And there's a picture of me, and I'm doing, like, the diamond symbol, which means, like, Moirails, which means, like, it's, like, best friends and Homestuck. So I'm like, y'all are my besties. So I think that's funny now. I didn't find it funny at the time. But I was like, okay, well, we all came together. It's good. It's fine. And then I got back to Con Ops with everybody, and I saw my inbox on Tumblr, my personal inbox. I saw my email. I saw the Dashcon blog inbox. I saw personalized death threats to me. And I had been bullied in middle school, and it was bad, but I had never received a death threat before. And I think I was scared that somebody was going to come after me. I was embarrassed that I was this much of a failure. I really just wanted to just turn into a fish and flush myself down the toilet. I think that is the exact phrase that I used. I would like to turn into a fish and flush myself down the toilet and never be seen again. And I was just filled with so many emotions. And then I went up to my room to let myself in, and the door was locked. I couldn't unlock it.
Oh god.
And I went downstairs, and apparently that the hotel had like started locking people who had rooms paid for by the con out of their rooms. And I later found out that the Welcome to Night Vale people and Noelle Stevenson, who created She-Ra, which is one of my favorite shows, were also locked out of their rooms. And I was in full gray paint. It was late. It was probably 2 a.m. Luckily a group of like Tumblr people invited me into the room for like chicken nuggets, and so I could use their bathroom and just kind of like sit on their floor until the owners could let me back into my room. But I was like, I'm gonna die here, and somebody's gonna come and find me and kill me and shoot me and bomb me. Somebody said they wanted to hang me. And it's like, I didn't know what to think. So I finally got back into my room. I went to sleep. I slept in most of the day. I got up, and I was like, you know what? It's going to be okay. Today's going to be fine, because I'm going to get to have my ball pit. And then I saw the ball pit. Then everybody saw the ball pit. Yeah. It was not what I dreamed. It was the size of a kiddie pool. It was deflated. And I was in this cute little green pinup dress. I had my little tiara on. And I was finally taking my lunch break because nobody wanted to give me a break from Con Ops. One of the heads, the owners, Kane, was just like yelling at me incessantly. It was the second day in a row of him just yelling at me for who knows what. And I was like, you know what? Fudge this. I am taking a lunch break. And so I got my cheese dip and my chips from the Taco Bell. And I went to the ball pit. It was horrible. And I climbed in. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to hold court. So I was just talking with my Homestucks, pretending that I was the princess of the ball pit. Because I had my tiara on. And yep. After that, a couple hours went by. I essentially just abandoned my duties. Gave up. And at this point, I don't know if I really regret giving up, if I would have done the same thing nowadays, because I'm definitely a stronger person now than I was at, having just turned 17, just having graduated college, or high school. I'm certainly a stronger person. I'm an adult now. I know what I'm doing. Not so much when it comes to cons, but when it comes to socialization and whatnot. But I was like, I can't do it. I can't do another day. So I called my mom and I was like, Mommy, I need you to give me some money so I can change my flight, because Dashcon had flown me out there, going to fly me back first class, but they were not willing to pay extra to change my flight, probably because they didn't have any money. But I had a guy that I met at the convention drive me back to the airport first thing on Sunday morning, flew home, got back, opened up my email again, more death threats, got home. My dad had a blown up picture of me in the ball pit on his, because we had our computer connected to the flat screen. So just big blown up picture of me in the ball pit. He made a collage of all the articles about Dashcon's failure, and I think I just ran to my room and just didn't come out for a whole week, just sobbing. So,
can you go into like what happened after people put the money in the bag to cause it to become such a huge, like, clusterfuck?
That's the thing. At the convention, nothing happened. Everybody was still kind. Everybody was respectful, and they, from what I physically saw with my eyes, seemed to be having a good time. The only time I assumed that they weren't, like, I wasn't present, but Welcome to Night Vale rightfully canceled because the convention said that they couldn't pay them till the end of the weekend, so they walked out, which I understand. I would have done the same thing. But there was no other, like, big inciting incident. Nobody was being rude, disrespectful, rioting at the con. Everything was just online.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to stay away from it as much as possible, but, like, when people were coming directly to me and, like, threatening to kill me or have me killed. I had somebody, because I started college a couple weeks later, I had somebody show up at my college campus, and they were like, I'm here from 4chan to tell you that we want you dead.
Oh my god.
What?
And I
Call the college
don't
police.
know. I just kind of lost it. I think I turned into this horrific raging monster, and I was like, you know what? I want you dead too. Nobody will miss you if you killed yourself. Go have a nice day. Drive your
God.
There's the Horsetooth Rock. Go drive your car off of it.
Did he get sad after that?
Did he get sad?
Yeah. Did he take it seriously?
Yes, he took it very seriously.
Okay.
Like, I turned into this horrible, and you've never seen it. You are so lucky. I mean, most people have never, like, seen me just kind of lose it, because I get really, really cold, and my voice, like, lowers significantly. And I've had someone tell me that, like, they see my eyes just kind of glaze over, and I just sound like a supervillain. And I'm like, that's not something that I would like to hear, because I like to think of myself as, like, a happy, fun person who's not evil. But I think that the moment somebody shows up to me face to face and threatens me, then it's over.
Well, yeah, it's always said that, you know, you don't want to push a nice person to the limit, because the moment they snap, you're going to regret it, because it's like, because, you know, they have to fight so hard to not strangle you the moment you walk in, but the moment you do break that, you cross that barrier, yeah, it's not going to be pretty.
But I think that kind of changed me as a person after that. Like, I think I got just scared constantly. I ended up moving out of the dorms just because I had undiagnosed narcolepsy at the time. And actually, one thing that really helped me get a diagnosis was one of the admins, Angela, who was, like, on the same, I guess, level as I was, although she was a good 10 years older than me. But one of her complaints on Tumblr was that I slept too much. And she was like, yeah, Lochlan was just always asleep constantly. So, like, I showed that to my sleep doctor like a couple of years ago as proof that this has, like, been an ongoing problem to the point that other people notice it. And it's helped me, like, got professionally diagnosed with narcolepsy. But I was still undiagnosed, and I was 17 when I, like, started physical college, because I'd been doing like online, getting my associates in zoology beforehand. But so this was my first year, like on campus, and I had to move out of the dorms. I was having such horrible panic attacks. I like had this horrible narcolepsy attack where all of my muscles just kind of stopped working, and I fell to the ground. And then I had like a PTSD attack with it. Like, oh my God, I'm paralyzed, and now people are going to come and kill me. They are going to come and kill me because they didn't like my ball pit. And that sounds so silly when I say it now. And I know now that nobody is going to come and kill me because of Dashcon. Nobody is going to come and kill me because they didn't like my ball pit. But having somebody show up, and I know that they drove a couple of states to come and deliver a threat from 4chan.
God.
Oh my God.
I didn't even know what 4chan was. Like, that's how naive I was. Because I was so focused on just trying to live my life, trying to get my degree, trying to be happy. And they had to cart me out of my dorm, like the EMTs, because I physically couldn't move. And they thought that it was just like psychosomatic. And I ended up being at home, just kind of paralyzed for a couple of days. And it turns out now that we know that it's called a cataplexy attack, and it is brought on by like very strong emotions, but it's not psychosomatic in the way that it's my brain just overreacting and making myself not move. It's essentially the same thing, but there's an actual chemical reason for it. And so I feel good knowing that. But at the time, I felt so crazy. And I know for a fact that my doctor said I was crazy. Pretty sure my dad thought that I was crazy. And I mean, that's just how it was. And that's how it was for years. And, you know, I got through and I was doing zoology and communication studies. And finally, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I still don't feel safe here. So I packed up and I moved to Denver, and I did that. And even then, you know, it had been years, and I made that video just talking about Dashcon candidly, explaining what happened, explaining my role in it. Because one thing that I've noticed is I'm never mentioned, like ever. And it's an odd feeling, because I know that I had a weirdly big role in this humongous disaster, but to never see myself mentioned for any kind of failure or wrongdoing, I think I almost feel guilty that I did something shitty and bad. I'm sorry, I just said a cuss, but I did something bad.
I've been cursing, so you know this can not be like. I figured kids aren't going to want to hear about the Dashcon story.
Yeah,
so good.
But I mean, part of myself feels like I should have been punished, or I should have had my parents tell me off. I should have had somebody. I mean, I don't think death threats were required, but I don't know, maybe some YouTuber should have canceled me. And nothing ever happened. Some girl, Sarah Zed, recently made a video. Like, I could see my name like pop up, but she never said it out loud. And I think maybe part of it is because I was a literal child, and people, reasonable people, know that I wasn't at fault. But I still feel like I was. And I don't think that I really got better and really stopped being afraid until I packed up and moved to Africa. And I went to intensive trauma therapy every week for a year. And we talked about it. And, you know, explaining Dashcon to somebody from a completely other country who'd never heard of it, didn't know what Tumblr was, wasn't familiar with just American nonsense. It was nice to hear an outside perspective. And now I'm back in America, and I'm starting a full-time job in my dream field. It's notoriously hard to enter. I'm having conventions want to hire me to come speak as a guest about Dashcon. Somebody else is trying to start a Dashcon too. Told them not a fan of that, can't endorse that. However, I will show up with my pet raccoon. But it's something that's not so much hard for me to talk about now, I think the only question that I'm left with is, should I have been punished more for my crime against the internet? I don't know. I think I'm just rambling.
I mean, I don't think it was even like, I mean, people look on it like on a curiosity level, but I don't think anyone was hurt. I think the biggest thing is just, it was just like,
now,
so
I was going to say,
you know?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, considering there was Dashcon, but it wasn't like TanaCon from a while back where people lined up, spent all this money, couldn't get refunds, and they waited out in the hot sun and got sunburned for several hours because VidCon was going on, and TanaCon was created to basically be a rival, be like, oh, fine, you won't have us at your convention, we'll make our own. And that was an even bigger, hotter, more
literally
lawsuity
hotter
mess.
Yeah, people got
literally
hurt.
hotter and more lawsuity mess than Dashcon ever was. So it was like, when you look at things in comparison, you go, hey, at least people weren't hurt. Like, you know, they weren't physically, they didn't go to the hospital for second and third degree sunburns. They didn't, you know, everybody stayed, you know, everyone was at least nice and cordial for it. And you know what? You guys had a ball pit. TanaCon didn't have a ball pit. In fact, not many people could get into TanaCon because of how small the space was. So there you go.
Like, I think people think it's just like funny now, like that Dashcon even existed, you know?
Yeah, it definitely is like a joke, and a good joke, and something that I've learned to laugh at and actually find funny. Like, genuinely find the memes funny. But, you know, at the time, for, you know, maybe the first 1 or 2 years, it was something people regularly wanted me dead over. And I don't know, there's something about that just changes a person.
Yeah, and I find that 4chaners talk a big game, but like the whole point of 4chan is they're anonymous, and they're like saying all these anonymous things anonymously without any, you know, consequences. Like, I remember that I remember that Boggs, like, fucking, he doxed me, and that's when I was worried that someone was gonna just come to my house and like shoot me in the head or something like that. But, you know, no one ever came. So, you know, I think even though people were telling me to like to kill myself and like sending me pictures of like bleach and shit, like, people talk a big game, but, you know, at the end of the day, like, psychologically, they're just doing this because they want to feel like they're better than the thing that they're shitting on, because their own lives are so, maybe not sad, because that's a big chunk of people, but they want to put that energy into something else so they feel validated in some way. So, you know, it's almost like, if anything, it's also kind of sort of rooted in guilt, in knowing that they've done bad stuff, and so they try to cover it up by doing, you know, trying to, you know, act as like, quote, savior, and enact themselves upon people like this when it's clearly not the best thing or the right thing to do. But it's almost like, to hide the fact that they themselves have done bad things, but they want to act like that those didn't happen. Yeah, they want to say like, well, I've done bad things, but like this person's done worse, and like, you know, it's overkill, I think. Like, you know, someone did a bad thing, like, let the law punish them or something, but, like, you don't have to, like, don't you have something better to do? Like, why don't you worry? Why don't you focus on yourself? Why don't you spend all that time, like, looking for a therapist and going to therapy and dealing with the bad thing that you feel like you have to label someone else as, you know? It's, people are gross.
Yeah. Well, do y'all have any other questions?
So welcome to Lochlan's therapy session.
No different than any other therapy session. All we do is talk about Dashcon.
I guess like how what were the press sources saying that were labeling Dashcon so like much to fail because they had to borrow money from the convention people? Because
I mean, yeah, it's first of all, it's the ball pit. The ball pit was a failure, absolutely. They were right. It was real bad. Then there was people saying there was a scam, and think it was a scam. I don't. I know, personally, for me, it wasn't a scam. For Roxanne, one of the owners, absolutely wasn't a scam. And I don't think it was even a scam for Meg and Kane. And I'm not particularly a fan of them, but I don't think they were trying to scam people. I think that it was really, really, really poor planning and really, really awful money management.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to look at those things and label it a scam, and then it is to, like, I think people would rather label something a scam and say that they got scammed out of money than to say, well, it was just managed so poorly and we gave them money. And it's like, it was just bad. It was just planned horribly.
Yeah, it just sounds like, from what you're describing, it's like they didn't have the money up front to pay the hotel. They weren't paying. They weren't paying anyone. They weren't paying the band or whatever that was supposed to.
You're welcome to Night Vale.
They were a podcast.
Yeah. So people were upset that the band that was gonna be there didn't show up, but it sounds like the money that was in the bag. Put the money in the bag, went back to the hotel, because if it didn't, then the hotel would have kicked everyone out.
Right.
So, like,
that's true.
You know, where, like, what else was there? You know, just bad organization from what it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's it. That is it. And I'm looking at articles, like, on Jezebel and the Daily Dot, and, I mean, sci-fi.com. And that's it.
And I think, yes, yeah, sorry to interrupt it, but I guess, the other thing, too, is because you had all those media outlets, like, physically there, and they just saw this, like, sad ball pit, and, like, these people running around asking for money, I think it just kind of got over-exaggerated in some ways.
Right. And I think maybe that's the thing I feel is most my fault. I think I mentioned this earlier, is that getting all those media things involved. I mean, I did very good from the standpoint of, this is my job, this is my position within Dashcon. You know, after creating the whole thing, it was, I'm the media marketer. I'm going to make sure that this gets on the map. And oh boy, did it get on the map. Oh, jeez.
I thought, to be honest, I thought this would be a little funner, but I didn't, like, not that it's your fault, Lochlan, but I didn't realize there was so much, like, sad trauma there, so I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm sorry for not making it more fun. I promise you that next time we go to a con together, we can make shirts, right? I'll make a shirt that's like, I'm asking me about the Dashcon ball pit, and I'll make you one that says, my friend came up with a Dashcon ball pit, and all I got was this shitty t-shirt.
No, I think what you need to do is, like, if you make autograph prints, you need to, like, have that art of you in the ball pit and being like, you know, Lochlan O'Neil, like, you know, creator of, like, you know, the ball pit, you know, the biggest mistake on the internet or something like that. And then I think that might help flip your brain a little bit when people have, like, a positive reaction. They're just like, oh my god, you did the ball pit? That was so funny. And then it's just like, it's not bad anymore. Yay.
See,
it's become, it has a nostalgia to it now, you know?
Yes,
because it's been so deeply rooted in the public mind that it's like, it's become a nostalgic thing, and therefore it's more favorable to look at now versus looked at in distaste, you know what I mean?
Okay, so I do have something fun to say.
Okay.
I am getting a pet raccoon. And I think we may have talked about this, I don't know. But I'm getting a pet raccoon. And one of the best forms of enrichment for raccoons, and also for coatimundis, and really any other animal in that family, is the ball pit. Ball pits, zoos use them for enrichment, wildlife sanctuaries, that's how I learned about it. So I'm going to build an actual ball pit for my pet raccoon. And I'm going to make TikTok videos of him in the ball pit, him getting his extra hour. And I think
if there's such thing as a plush, like, nacho basket,
I can make him a little dress and put a little tiara on it and have the raccoon cosplay me.
Yes.
I feel like that's like a little exploiting of the raccoon. I'll feel like a pageant mom, but still.
No, like maybe use that as your autograph for like your raccoon. You have a raccoon.
But I think it would also be funny, like, because I can't imagine anybody wanting my autograph, really. I'm not that special. I'm cool and very talented, but my fame is, like, at a 0, which is fine. But I feel like it would be really fun if I ever had a booth, just to use the booth space and just build an actual ball pit, like, with plywood and stuff, like a walk-in ball pit.
And just have a sign outside that says, "Ask me about the Dashcon ball pit."
Yes.
Or like, join me in the pit while in the ball pit. Join me. Yes, meet me in the ball pit.
No,
we need to, like, get art of that.
You can also sign like the little bottles and then give them out to people. It's like, here you go.
Dang. Okay, now that is a cute idea. Yes. Meet me in the pit.
And then it's rooted in what you wanted it to be in the first place. Right. Was a place to meet people. So reclaiming the ball pit.
Yes. We need to make this happen.
I mean, you'll have all this new job money, you know, you gotta
oh my
spend it
gosh,
somewhere.
Yeah. I know. I mean, bills mostly. Ball pit also. To be bills and ball pit.
Wait,
top on the priorities.
So for the raccoon, how do you? So you said you're getting one. Like, is it? How does that work? Because this is coming from a state where I'm not allowed to have anything.
Yeah.
So I do have to have a permit, but because I have an actual degree in zoology, I don't have to take the required testing and whatever. So it's easier for me to get the permit. There are breeders in my state who breed raccoons for pets for people who have permits. And yeah, I'm going to be building an entire enclosure. He's on the way right now. He's born, but
he's born.
He's born. But I'm going to build him like a little indoor pond for enrichment so he can fish and eat little crabs and shrimps.
Yeah, I have no idea what raccoons eat, so.
Oh yeah, they're omnivores. They'll eat anything. They'll eat a nice egg in the strying time. They'll eat crabs. They'll eat minnows. My dad used to feed them Krispy Kreme donuts when he was in the Marine Corps. They called him Colonel Krispy Kreme.
Aww.
So like, but really they need to have like a varied, healthy diet. So I will not be feeding my raccoon Krispy Kreme.
Only on special.
I went to school.
Have you decided on a name for the raccoon yet?
I have. It's Moonshine.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, but it's funny because apparently the Dashcon, because the person who's trying to start Dashcon too, which again is a bad idea, but apparently they're legitimately trying. Their mascot is a raccoon named Dash, which was like actually what I was thinking about naming Moonshine before it was Moonshine. It was Dash for Dashcon the Trash Panda. But I guess it wasn't that original if the Dashcon 2 is using that as their mascot, which again, why? Why would you take my failure and whew. But, you know, if they want me to go, I will show up. Yeah.
Where's it going to be located, you know?
They don't know yet.
Okay.
I know, right? But, you know, good on people for doing things with their lives.
Yeah, again, the first one was formed out of, at least as far as what I can gauge, and especially based on how people behaved there, it was born out of good intentions. So It was like, you know, like a genuine desire to have like a community come together at a convention. You know, like you genuinely just wanted to go and have a good time. So there was no other motive besides that.
Oh, well, you know, we can't change the past. We can only buy a raccoon in the future.
Yeah,
that's my new quote.
Maybe put t-shirts on that. Maybe you can get t-shirts with that. Yeah, it reminds me of the unicorn one, which was a pony one, but was legitimately a scam, where I guess the organizers invited like every pony person that's ever existed, and then they raised all this money, and then they just ran off with it like Sunday morning, and the hotel was like, no one's paid for anything, no one's paid for anything, and like the guests were getting kicked out of their room, and it was such a hot mess. So, and in comparison, I feel like I don't know what these people could have gained from this except maybe, street cred, if that's what you want to call it. Like where's the extra money that was I don't know. Like,
I'm sorry, don't you mean dash cred?
I guess the attendance money wasn't enough to pay for the hotel or something?
No, I think we were expecting more people. Especially more people walk-in door fees, because I guess more people pay, at the door.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. Didn't happen.
Yeah, then there you go. That probably makes sense. It's always a bad thing, when you're planning something like this. Maybe a convention, maybe not. Like, the majority of your sales are going to be prepaid because people are planning it. It's a vacation. Like, the only people who are going to show up at your event are people that are local that are like, oh, I heard about this thing. Let's go down and see what's happening,
I mean, I don't know. I never pay in advance. I always pay at the door, even if it's, planned. But...
that's not normal, or that's not usual.
Yeah, nothing I do is normal.
Usually it's cheaper if you pay in advance. It's usually $20 cheaper, or something like that.
Yeah,
depending on it, yeah.
I remember one BronyCon, this family with this little girl came down. They're just like, I've heard this is a My Little Pony con. How do we get in? And I was just like, she just likes My Little Pony videos on YouTube. And I was like, okay, I guess it's over there, but I don't think she's gonna enjoy. I don't know if she'll understand what's going on. There you go.
Next thing you know, the kid walks in and immediately is thrust into the world of Dakimakuras. And
oh my god.
I'm kind of low key a little chromatic. Maybe that's not the right word. Like satisfied by all the bad karma that the last
BronyCon your experience in Schadenfreude.
Sorry?
Schadenfreude?
What's that?
Taking pleasure out of other people's pain.
Oh, I guess. Well, BronyCon was just so shitty to me the last year, and then they kind of
Schadenfreude. I'll send you the song. A pleasure derived from someone or another person's misfortune.
Yeah, I mean, when you gaslight a abuse victim, it's, pretty no good on anyone's accord. So I think that's all the questions I have about Dashcon. Do you have any more questions, Lauren?
I think mine are answered pretty much too.
Okay. Any other things you want to add, Lochlan?
Yeah, you can follow me on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's whatever. Lochlan O'Neil. My username is on everything. One word. LOCHLANONEIL. Not gonna tell you on my Tumblr.
Get a Tumblr. Post your horse sounds. I don't know what you would do on Tumblr. So.
What do I do anymore? Nobody knows. But yeah, thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah,
it's always a pleasure.
So much for joining us.
Yeah.
All right. Good time.
It was really interesting to know all this.
Got to plug the regular socials. So for podcast specific stuff, we're on at the KP Podcast for everything. I think except TikTok. I don't know what that one is, but you can search for TikTok. We have TikTok. And then I'm at I Love KP a lot everywhere except YouTube. But subscribe on the YouTube and turn your notifications on, please. And then Lauren, what do you have for socials?
I pretty much live off Twitter, so the Abby Roadie on Twitter. But I technically do have an Artful account set up now, but I'm trying to load.
What is Artful?
Apparently, Artful is basically like if you merged DeviantArt and it's like DeviantArt and Instagram together. So it's like the format of kind of sort of the format of Instagram. Where it's just for people to upload their art and all that stuff. It's trying to be. It's basically trying to be an art-centric community. Now it's more about protecting the artist and stuff like that, and protecting their content. And it's also got community things going on. Like if there's an art challenge, they'll let you know, and you can participate in it on there, and you can tag it as such. So that way it gets seen as part of that thing. I'm still kind of navigating it because now the app actually works for me. It took about a week because it launched only a week ago. And it was very, very slow to run the first few days at least because of the traffic influx. But I was like pretty early to like get at least an account set up. So I am on there under the same name. And apparently there's a time limit between you have to wait 10 minutes between each post, which I thought that was interesting. I don't know if that's something to just control the traffic that way, but so that way it's not like an overload to the system. But I thought that was, I'm like, oh. So somehow you can like rapid fire tweets, but you can't, and you can post multiple things on Instagram, no problem. But I guess it's because, again, their servers might be running really slow. I don't know. But yeah, you have to wait 10 minutes between posts, which I learned that yesterday.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep an eye on it and see if it's like picking up or not. We'll see. It takes me 500 years to do any actual art, so I do it. It just takes a while. So.
Yeah, it's like I have an Instagram, but I rarely ever use it. I mean, I like use it to look at other people's stuff, but I mean, I haven't posted it in a while, so.
Yeah, I technically have an art Instagram, but again, similar concept. All right, and then for podcasts, we do podcasts usually every Wednesday, 6 a.m. on the podcast platforms, and then 4 p.m. for the YouTube version if you care, or whatever, if YouTube's easier for you to consume the knowledge. All right, see you guys next week.
Bye.
Yeah, good night, everybody.
Get out of my shed. Okay.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey.
Thank you so much for listening to Animation Kimmunication on YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast provider. We are really hoping this show makes a difference in how people view animation and media, as well as giving and providing advice for people all over the world who like or want to join the animation or media industry. If you liked what you heard, please remember to subscribe and rate those 5 stars, as well as tell your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our main YouTube channel, I Love Kim Possible a Lot, and turn those notifications on. My name is Scribbler, and you have been listening to Animation Kimmunication.